Hello, this is Randall, Michigan Tropical Gardener, and I'm going to show you what you can do today with unripe figs. If you have a fig tree and you end up with a lot of unripe figs, this is what you can do with them. Okay, you take the unripe figs, whatever size, and you cut off the end. Of course, I've let these sit for a day, so use a serrated knife, and I'll just cut off the end that was attached to the tree. I did wash these off beforehand a couple of times outside to try to get off as much of the latex as I could. And now they're kind of soft, which isn't all that bad. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil them for 5 minutes, then change the water, boil them for another 5 minutes, empty that water. The third time I'm going to cover the figs with just enough water to cover them. I'm going to add the same amount of sugar. So if I use 1 cup of water, I'll use 1 cup of sugar. And then I'll add cloves to that. I don't have any lemon juice or lime juice, any fresh. So I could add a bit of that, of the concentrated. Okay. The recipe I'm going by says to use half of a fresh lemon, but I'm not going to use a half. I was going to use a lime, and like I said, I think I might add like a tablespoon of concentrated lime juice. This is the only fig that my California brown turkey had produced. I did have a fig from, 1 or 2 figs from my Nazarti fig tree, but I don't have those now. That was earlier in the season. So anyway, I do not see any latex when I cut these, which is good. Now that one looks pretty good. These are Chicago Hardy figs, and when they're ripe, they're not black, but they're a really dark purple. So this is a dark fig. Okay. And that is what I've ended up with. Just to see how much water it takes, I'm going to measure it right now. So that was 3 cups of water. It's like bobbing for apples. And that's going to, it's going to cover it really well. So even if I use 2.5 cups, that would work out pretty well. Okay. We'll put that on there and bring that to a boil. And then when it starts boiling, we'll time it for 5 minutes. At the end of 5 minutes, we'll change the water, boil it for another 5 minutes, then empty it out, and then cover it with enough water to cover the figs, and then add the same amount of sugar and the cloves and a tablespoon of lime juice. So we'll get back to it as soon as it starts to boil. Okay, so the pot is boiling. And like I said, now I got to get the timer. Where's the timer? Timer. Got timers everywhere. I could use the one on the stove, I could use the one on the microwave, or I could use this one. 5 minutes. Okay, there we go. And in 5 minutes, we'll change the water. Back in 5. Okay, the 5 minutes is up, and now we will dump that out and change the water. I'm going to use, I'll be using this. I'm not going to show you, because what's there to see? Nothing to see here. That's what, nothing to see here. Okay, back in a couple minutes. Okay, there's the changed water, and now it's just waiting for it to boil, and then we'll start the second 5 minutes. Okay, this is the second 5 minutes. So after that, then I will empty that out, and I'll make a simple syrup with equal parts sugar and water, and I'll put some lime juice and cloves in that. So then I will get back with you then. Okay, another 5 minutes is up. Now I will empty this out, and then I will make a simple syrup with sugar and water, about 2 cups of sugar to 2 cups of water, and I will let that boil, and then I will add the figs to that, along with the cloves, and then eventually the lime juice. Okay, I'm going to make the simple syrup first before adding the figs. I put in there about 1 3/4 cups of sugar, 1 cup of water, and about 3/4 cup of water again. And so what I will do now is put that back on the stove, let that boil, and as I've told you in the past, at least on one occasion, you do not want to stir that. In making a simple syrup, equal parts sugar and water, do not stir. If you stir it up, it'll form crystals, and you don't need to stir it. There's no reason to. It'll do itself. It'll stir itself when it bubbles, and so we'll get back to that after it has basically put all the sugar into solution. And you can tell because the water will be clear. When that happens, then I will add the figs back to that, and we will let that boil for 15 minutes. Well, I'll also add the cloves when I add the figs. And I'll let it boil for 15 minutes, and then I'll add the lime juice at the end, and then I'll put it into a jar. And the jar is going to hold maybe about 2 cups. I think that's about a 16-ounce jar. So, see you in a few. As you can see, it is boiling, and it is stirring up all the sugar in there. So we'll just check that out here, and try not to get any sugar on my phone, especially not drop it in there. And as you can see, it's pretty clear. I don't see any sugar in there. So what I'll do is I'll put the cloves in there. If you don't know what cloves are, if you're saying to yourself, cloves of what? Here we go. Whole cloves. Okay, so we'll put a couple of those in there, then I will put the figs in there and let that boil for 15 minutes. Okay, I've got the vent fan on, so I'll try to speak over that instead of just turning it off. There we go, and I'm going to let that boil for 15 minutes, and then we'll get back when I'm going to add the lime juice. Okay, 15 minutes has elapsed, and we'll just zoom in there. And that's what we have. So now what we will do is take that off and let it cool down. Lift that up, set that down over here, and turn that off. We'll let that cool, then we will add a tablespoon of lime juice and then put it into our clean container. And that's it. Then we have, I guess you would call them candied figs. This is a variation of a Turkish recipe. So there you go. I'll come back and show you the end process. Okay, time to put the figs into the jar. See if I can do this while videotaping. You can see the clove, one of the cloves there. I put in 2 cloves. Figure that should do pretty well for the amount of liquid that I'm using. There you go, get in there. Okay, now to add the lime juice. This is going to be tricky, tricky, tricky. Okay, that should do it. That is good. Okay, we'll put put the funnel in. Give that one more stir. Put that in the sink. Try to even this up a little. Now, put a little more in there. I think we can put more in there. I know I'm not going to be able to fit all of it in there. I can still put some more in. Okay, that's good enough. So now all I have to do is put the lid on it, refrigerate it, and I'm good to go. So give it a try. You'll enjoy it, I'm sure. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.